All right, so today we have Edwin on, and Edwin is one of the newest students in our AUM training program. So, Edwin, go ahead and introduce yourself. Where you are, where
Yeah,
you're from, and just a little bit about yourself.
absolutely. Edwin here. I have been in the insurance industry for a while, and then I had stopped. I mean, probably like 10 years ago, stopped. I did Medicare for a while, stopped for several years, went back to what I was doing, and then came back recently, probably last year, August, I believe, is when I started back to life insurance. So I went from Medicare to life insurance. I'm in Florida. Um, Most of the business that I do, I did start with, running business, going door to door, making appointments kind of thing. And now like, yeah, fully transient to, or moved over to telesales, to on the phone.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, if we just take a step back, what made you transition back from Medicare to just focusing on life insurance specifically?
Great question. Wow, I used to own two gyms, and it was taking my time like crazy. And As I was selling the gyms, I ended up doing Medicare. But what I noticed was that transition from gym work to Medicare work. I at that moment in time in my life, I just couldn't do the sit down office. I was so active and so physical that that was driving me crazy. So I actually went back to the fitness industry. Um, for several years, did another gym, and then got rid of that one. And I said, okay, now it's time for me to settle down. My kids were asking me for time. My wife wanted me home more often. So that's when I said, okay, I need to find something else. And I went back to insurance, except this time I went through the life insurance portion of
Gotcha.
that.
Awesome, awesome. And so, why do you sell insurance anyway? What's kind of the reason why you really got
Oh, that's
into
great.
it?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, I in 2000. Oh my goodness, I think it was 2001. I buried my grandfather. No life insurance. And then again in we're in 2021, right? Yeah. And then again in 2017, I believe it was 17, 18. I buried my grandmother, right? His wife, and she also had no life insurance. So that's why I wanted to move over to the life insurance portion of things, to kind of educate people on the importance of how just $10,000, even $5,000, that difference in the loved one's life, what it can do. Because if we were scrambling, kind of scrambling on how are we going to get, to honor her life and bury her properly. And that's kind of why I got into the life insurance portion of things. But that is when I said, okay, we need to educate the people that don't have the opportunity to be educated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
And so, is that something that you kind of try to articulate to the people that you speak to on a daily basis? Is that kind of what drives you to kind of do?
absolutely. That's exactly what it does. And almost, a good percentage of the time, they already know my story, because that's what we're taught here, is to in our ads, is to give our story. So they're like, hey, yeah, I saw your story, and I'm like, okay, great, so you already know a little bit about me, let me tell you a little bit more.
Yeah,
Which is awesome.
yeah. So let's kind of transition into that. So since you already mentioned that, let's talk about some of the perceptions that you've been able to get, where it kind of already buys you a little bit of trust, right? It kind of builds
Exactly.
this perspective for you, but also starts a conversation where they can resonate with that and think about their families while they're reading some things from you. So just kind of talk about how that's affected, kind of the way you speak with people nowadays.
Okay. I do let them know that if they haven't, said anything about the ad, I let them know, hey, look, that is me. That is actually my story, right? And I don't know yours, so I would love to know, what got you thinking of life insurance. What made you want to start searching for life insurance today? Why do you need it today? I also, let them know that the passing away of my grandmother made me make sure that I got something for my mom, right? Because now I'm hitting two avenues. If they're young, they want life insurance for them, and then I'm hitting their parents as well. If their parents are alive. So I let them know, as soon as my grandmother passed away, I'm talking about within 30 days, I got life insurance on my mom, because there's no way that I have $10,000-$12,000 in my bank account to pay for a burial, cremation even. Okay. So I kind of let them know that, in our conversation, I let them know that this is personal. I don't use 1-800 numbers. I give them my cell phone, right? It's like, how much more personal can I get by giving you my cell phone, giving you full access to me? And I want to make sure that they know that that this is real. This is personal. I'm a real person just like them. So my story kind of matches their story. Sometimes I wait till they tell me their story, and then I kind of, play around with their story matching mine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because that gets people thinking. And so you also mentioned something I thought was interesting. So what's kind of been, because I know both methods work, right? Like in home and
Yeah.
doing door to door, as well as on this side. And the purpose of this call is to kind of talk about the other side. So just if
Okay.
we can just talk about some of the pros, right? So what's kind of been some of the pros? 'Cause I know you mentioned your family and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I'm just curious on what are some of the pros from kind of doing the over the phone method and the virtual method that we're using.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I really think, with what I've gotten so far, I think when I get in touch with these people, they're 90% ready. Everybody's in a different stage of the sale, right? But sometimes what I've found is probably a good 75% of the people that I speak with they already know they need it. The other 25% that I speak with, but this is like anywhere in any business, you got to work a little harder in trying to convince them, right?
Mhm.
Um, I like the fact that it's slightly more flexible, right? I don't have to put wear and tear on my vehicle. I'm not, of course we get no shows. It's part of the business, but um, I have more opportunity to even contact them, whether it's mail, email, phone, text, right? I use all three, various different ways, various different times. Um, and I like that. I like that opportunity. And I think also, like, if we look at what people are afraid of, right? They're afraid of being sold. They're afraid. Every single person is afraid of being sold. But for some reason, when you let them know that you're a person just like them and calm them down and say, hey, listen, I'm not a salesperson. I don't have a fancy sales presentation. I just want a 15-minute conversation with you. All right. We don't need to do this face by face. We do it over the phone. However, I'm here to educate you on what's available to you, what opportunities you have. And I think those are the biggest pros that I've found is flexibility, obviously, but you still have to work. You can't just be flexible all the time, right? And I think the fact that they are a little more inclined to being at the end of the sales process than at the beginning. And that's what I have found. I don't know if it's my story or I think all of that. I think all of that put together, they're almost ready to buy.
Yeah, I think that something you said that was really important in there, which was, when you reach out, you're connecting with people, right? And you're connecting with them so that the story, plus you're like, I'm a real person. This is my real
Mhm.
story. You humanize yourself, right?
Yes, yeah, that's
And
what I
I
tell
think
them.
that people expectation coming in is they expecting to be sold, but when you have a human and a human conversation with them, the walls kind of come down a little bit, and they can be real with you, after you've been real with them, right? They feel like, okay, I can connect with them. They feel like they're just like you, and then they start to like you really quickly from that. But the ad kind of sets the table for that, right? So that's awesome. So
You know what words I use? I didn't mean to interrupt. You know
go
what
ahead.
word I use that like just like drops them? It's amazing. Somewhere in my conversation, I always put I'm going to help you just as I would help my own family. And that is like gold. I swear, I don't know why, but those little words there are massive.
Yeah, because we all want to be a part of something, and family means that we're all in this together.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I messaged you and you said you had a pretty good week last week. So can we just kind of talk about some of the results that you've gotten over the past week, and really how you've been able to do that?
Okay. Yeah, my last week, my first week in June, I closed, submitted, what is it? Issue paid, right? Issue paid, just under 59, I think it was, or 5,900, so 5,900.
Yeah.
Um, and what I noticed, some of those were one call sales. They were ready, and several of those were follow-ups. And I think follow-up is gold. If you're going to tell them you're going to follow up, follow up. If they want you to follow up, follow up. Don't just drop the ball, right? Don't just say it's over. No, follow up. Tell them you got to do some homework. They love that because that means you're working for them. Tell them you're going to do some homework. You'll get back to them. It's okay. Maybe they're not ready yet for the sales process. They're 90%, but you need them to push them to 98. Maybe just give them a couple of hours, give them a call the next day or the day after, set another appointment. So that's how I got to last week, that 5,900. I can't remember how many contracts. I think it was like, I want to say there were 5 contracts there, 5 or 6 contracts in that 59.
Awesome.
They were all from my Facebook post, every single one of them. In fact, I think 2 of them came from 2 contracts, right? 1 person, 2 contracts came from comments on my Facebook post, on my Facebook ad.
Yeah. And so people don't realize that this has a long tail, right? It has a long
Yes.
shelf life, that people are constantly seeing this. Thousands of people are seeing this every single day. There's thousands of eyes on this. And sometimes you really got to kind of hold, you got to grab people by the hand sometimes, right? They didn't necessarily fill out the form, but they commented, which was just enough for
Yeah.
you to kind of reach out to them. And
Yeah.
so those things are important. So, there's no magic here. You still got to put in the work and put the
Yeah.
effort in. And, people aren't just going to come to you checkbook in hand, but they're closer than they would be because it isn't cold. And they know that you're reaching out to them. They clicked on your ad. So this introduces you to them and starts a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's
Exactly.
kind of what we're trying to do here. So,
Yep.
but you mentioned about the follow-up. So, it's really kind of like making people feel like they're important, right? They're relevant. You're staying in there. And the more that you tend to do that, that also builds a relationship, right? Because there's just something about consistency that people like.
Yep.
So
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so when you're consistent, people like and can trust that, right? For example, if you were doing this and your business was inconsistent, your wife wouldn't really trust that as much as she would if it's consistent, right?
100%.
Exactly. So with that, let's talk about kind of what you're doing to love on people and kind of follow up with them. What are some things that you're doing that's helping you have success?
Okay, so let me see. I'll give you an example that literally just happened. I submitted her app, right? I thought it was going to take 48 hours to get through underwriting. She was young, but she got final expense. She texted me. She's like, "Hey, Edwin, have you heard anything back?" Literally within like 12 hours, she texted me. And I was like, "No, I haven't. But let me tell you this. Let me give them a call, right? And find out what's going on with your app. Usually they let me know within 24 hours, but let's give them a full day. I'll give them a call and find out what's going on. And you can go on your dashboard and check, the status, right? If it's in underwriting, if it's declined, if they need more information, et cetera, right? So I literally was texting her because her story is immensely deep, but I was texting her almost every single day. It took an entire week for them to let me know that they were going to do a telephone interview. right? Which they did yesterday. So now she's even happier that the company called her, and I kept her informed every step of the way. Okay. Another one, it was a gentleman in Tennessee, and he wanted it really bad, really bad. He knew he wanted it, and his first payment didn't go through. He freaked out. He called me. Instead of calling the company, he called me, because I gave him that trust, and I told him, listen, I actually don't want you to call the company. I want you to call me. Let me take care of it. I don't want you hitting 1, 2, 3, and 5 and never getting the right answer. So that's exactly what he did. And my goodness, that guy thanks me all the time. Texts me, thanks me. His brother called me the other day, so I'm working on him too. Just to give you examples, that's follow-up. That's follow-up, and that's making yourself exactly like them, because we are.
Yeah. You're being a service to others, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can appreciate that. Yeah, because that's where we're kind of in this business. And sometimes we get into the numbers and the hustle of going through those things. The human element kind of gets squeezed out of it, because the numbers are important. But this is B2C, but it's really P2P. This is a person to person business, because you're trying to help them protect their loved ones, their family, and it's selfless, right? This is something that a lot of times the people that are going to be affected by this, people won't be here, right? The person won't be here. They're making a decision to kind of do that, which is noble in people. So when you're doing that, you want to really kind of get on the same side of the table with them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Well, just to kind of transition. So, because a lot of agents are going to check this out, mainly in our group, right? And people that are kind of similar to you, and those things. So, we live in a world where people are kind of skeptical, and, they see things online and they think things are too good to be true. So just with this process, and just from you speaking from your own experience, what would you say to kind of people that are kind of on the fence and maybe looking into checking out something like this?
Yeah, I think, I did some homework myself, right? I spoke with probably 3 or 4 different companies until I spoke with you guys. And one thing I noticed about you guys is you weren't trying to sell me. You were trying to help me. Your boys, whoever, I can't remember who I spoke with. I think it was Greg, right? Is it Greg? Is one of them Greg? Yeah. And what I felt was like, these guys are extremely genuine. They are real, right? Genuine, real. And they were trying to help me even before the process of me signing up, and I thought that was star. That was incredible. I think if
you though,
because I think you said it early too. I wanted to be part of something, right? I want to be part. I felt more like would be more of my family, and no matter what, if I had any questions, I can call any single one of y'all, and it would be answered. And I think when I spoke with other people, I think that they would transfer me to this section of their, whatever their group, and then this guy wouldn't know the answer, so they'll transfer me to the next person. I was like, no, that I don't want that right now. You know what I mean? I really don't. I want to make sure that I get a professional person, right? You guys were professional the entire time. I wanted to be part of family is the word I'm going to use, but we love on each other. You can see it in the comments. In our group, we love on each other. We're not like harping or not telling secrets.
We want everybody to win. It's like
right,
people
exactly.
hopping in there, don't even know you sharing. Hey, this is what I'm doing.
100%.
Here's
yes.
your screenshot. I mean, I saw you hopping in there, giving people some feedback.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes this whole thing kind of work. It's not the system, it's the community that you get to be around. And I'm sure, people will reach out to you and say, hey, and what's this all about? And you can kind of give them your honest opinion. And that's really what kind of takes this thing to the level.
Yeah. And I think that, that you said it earlier, the perception of people or the expectation. I think we just need to be a little bit patient, especially when you get to learn something new. When this is all new to all of us, that's why we signed up, with you guys, because it's something new to us. But hey, you know what? Google is a great tool. YouTube is a great tool. You have an amazing library worth of videos, that you can research and understand everything. And if you don't know, email or like you just said, post something on the comments, and you're going to have some answers. And I think that was a big yes for me there. You guys had nothing to hide, which was awesome.
Awesome. Well, there'll be so agents will see this. So there may be people that are kind of attracted to you personally that may want to ask you questions or maybe even want to join your team or something like that. So just maybe an email address or something like that. How if people wanted to just kind of get connected to you and ask you some
100%.
questions and check this out? How could they find you?
They can either find me on Facebook. I can't remember my handle, but Facebook. They can find me. My email address is morales.jr, morales.jr@AT&T.net. You can email me there, message me, and if anything, I'll shoot you my phone number. I don't mind giving you my phone number. I just don't know if I have the permission to give it out right here.
Yeah, well, we'll wait till somebody reaches out to you. Just
sounds good.
Okay,
sounds good.
Because
Yeah,
we
let's
want
do
like
that.
serious people that are like,
Yeah,
if they have the guts to reach out to you directly, then they're serious, right? You don't want people like calling just to see if you're a real person and you pick up the phone. You know how it is when
they don't never stop.
Yeah, for sure. But you know how it is when you wanted to join, right? You're like, if this person's real and they have some real things, I'm already kind of sold. If this person checks out, sounds good. It doesn't.
I did the same exact thing. I did exactly that. And you can find me on Facebook easily. Edwin Morales, Morales.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Edwin, thank you for hopping on and sharing your story with us. We look forward to seeing some more of your success. Okay.
100%. Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Take care.